So today I want us to talk about COVID-19 pandemic in relation to how it has affected our tourism industry.
Yes.
Especially now, as someone who is a local tourist investor, a local investor in tourism.
Yes.
Maybe you will be able now to help us understand how the industry looks like. But first of all, the first thing, maybe you can take time, introduce yourself, and then after you do your introduction, then we can push with the conversation. All right. So Mustafa, you can go.
All right. My name is Mustafa Logonse. I'm a tour operator based in Kenya. We mostly operate in Africa and around the globe. We are based in Nairobi, and for sure, tourism sector it's on its knees as per now because it's due to this corona pandemic.
Okay. Mustafa, this question has always been there. How does the tourism, especially the local tourism, look like? Are we locally traveling, or you depend on the whites or Europe? What does the industry look like?
I can say for the last 2 years, I think the Kenyan government has done much enough to promote local tourism. But before that, we only depended on the tourists who came in from outside. But for the last 2 years, I think there was an advertisement that the government has been doing to support local tourism. And this one has boosted our local tourism because internally people were traveling a lot for the past 2 years. But before, I think people are not exposed to the tourism. We are only depending on the international tourists.
Okay.
Yes.
I remember the last time I met you, was it 2016 or 2015? You were traveling to Tanzania or something.
Yes.
Is the market still there for guys really traveling maybe to East Africa?
Yeah, East Africa is a hot market, especially Kenya and Tanzania. Mostly people don't travel to Uganda. I don't know why, but most of the people who travel to Uganda, they are those who go to seek some goods from there, outsource some goods from Uganda, bringing them to Kenya, or maybe to Kenya to Uganda. But most of the tourists, the destinations are basically in Kenya and Tanzania. And when we talk of Tanzania, there are several, we extend it even to Zanzibar. But when we talk of, let's say, like road trips, people go to Moshi, to Arusha, to Serengeti, those kind of parks. And in Kenya, basically, we are talking of Amboseli, we are talking of Masai Mara, we are talking of Naivasha, we are talking of Mombasa. So in the local East African market, we have a lot of potential, and there is more to explore.
Okay, good. Dixon just joined. Arwasa just joined us in this conversation. Maybe the first question I'll ask Arwasa. Arwasa, how often do you travel, especially locally and maybe East Africa, in East Africa?
Okay, I usually travel a lot, eh? Yeah.
So
okay. Okay. Locally, like in Kenya, I usually travel to different towns frequently. I can't finish one full week or 2 weeks before I travel. Yeah.
Oh, good. So Mustafa is someone who maybe arranges all these trips, and especially to African market. So Mustafa, what is the gap that is there for Kenyans, especially maybe Dixon? He's saying he travels maybe locally. Why? What is the gap when it comes to maybe traveling to East Africa? What is it that they are lacking to travel?
I think let's talk of the Kenyan market. Not so many people are used to traveling, but those who are used to traveling, they have several destinations. And I think the only thing that has boosted the tourism sector is the social media, because of the networking in between the social media. Like, for instance, You see some of my photos on social media, you want to know where was that, or when did I travel, am I still there, how much was the cost. So the social media has contributed a lot to the local tourism. And in Kenya, we have a lot of places to travel that even some of our own local tourists haven't gone to. Like we have places like Marsabit, we have places like Baringo, we have a lot of places, we have a lot of destinations, we have Magadi. So Kenya has a lot of potential in tourism.
Okay. So Dixon, so in this COVID-19, we understand like you cannot now travel. How is it affecting you?
Okay, I think most of my journeys are usually work related. And at the moment, we are completely grounded because I'm a health worker and we should remain on the ground so that we can handle the patients who may come to our facility. So at the moment, we are not moving a lot because of mainly because we are supposed to be at work. We are not doing a lot of field work to other towns. So that is why maybe that is how COVID-19 has affected my travel. That is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mustafa, when it comes, maybe I'll ask you this. When it comes to budget travels, are we aware as Kenyans? Mustafa, can you hear me?
Budget travels is there because yes, I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Kenyans do plan their budget travels very early. Like, for instance, this April, I know there was a lot of Kenyans who had planned to travel for the Easter holidays. That is, they started planning way back in January or February because as a tour operator, most of our clients always start paying in advance and they start paying, we call it lipa mdogo mdogo or lipa pole pole. So if probably a trip to Mombasa, you want to go for 3 days and probably it's like around 14,000 or 15,000, we give the client time to pay maybe 2,000, 2,000, 2,000. By the time it gets to the travel date, they have already cleared the balance. So Kenyans are most aware of their budget and they always know how much they want to spend and they know the places they want to spend. So Kenyans are much aware of the travel budgets in and around Kenya.
Okay. So Dixon, when you travel, maybe when you are doing maybe work-related trips, what types of accommodation options do you usually explore?
Okay. Most of the time, what we usually consider is a favorable place, maybe to operate from. Like now, maybe we are going to have meetings, so we look at the facilities. Like if a hotel has a conference hall, maybe if I'm traveling personally, as in alone, and I'm not going to hold any meeting, in terms of the costs, we usually consider the cost of the hotel maybe you're going to put up at. So I think those are some of the factors that we consider when we are traveling to a place.
Okay. Mustafa, when it comes to maybe the question about accommodation options people should explore, like for me, like a local tourist person, especially when it comes to hotels, maybe level 4 hotel, level 5-star, all those kind of questions, we usually find them a bit expensive. So which other options as a tour operator you usually have that is not so expensive as 5-star or 5-star or 4-star hotels?
I'll speak of about three things because in accommodation, we have a lot of types of accommodation when you talk of the 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. But in most cases, we always categorize them into three. We have what we call, most of our clients go for half-board accommodation or full-board accommodation. And when we talk of trips, we have the private tourist and we have the group tourist. So when it comes to group tourists, it becomes more cheaper because we have what we call sharing on half-board basis. So probably if like you are two travelers, you, Patrick, and Arwasa, you can be able to share the same room, but it has two beds. You know the cost comes down. But we have the private travelers who just want to have his own room and be able to select a hotel of his or her own choice. So it all depends with the client, and we always engage to know what is your budget, what are you looking at, so long as at the end of the day or after the trip you have enjoyed and at least it is value for money.
All right. So there's also another question, or maybe this one. Okay, Dixon, do you know this BNB? You know BNB?
No.
Okay, Mustafa, I think since you're in this business, can you share about BNB and maybe how you work with BNB providers?
Yes. Yes.
Proceed, Mustafa.
Now, when we talk of, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
When
Proceed.
we talk of accommodation is varied from hotels, from the A&B. It's varied to camping, So accommodation is vast. There are those who prefer camping. There are those who prefer hotel. There are those who prefer homestays. So we provide all these services around Kenya and even around the globe.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'll bring Wekesa. Wekesa, maybe you can do a quick introduction, then we proceed with the discussion.
I'm Wekesa Eric. Niko Masaku.
Uko Masaku.
Yes.
How is Masaku? How is everything? I saw you guys. I saw Sonko doing some really good projects there in terms of giving people maybe food now, distributing. Is it happening?
I'm not sure. I'm just in the house.
Okay.
Yes. Anything else? We can access information at the same speed because we are using media. Otherwise, all of us are in the house.
Yeah. Even as we are locked in Nairobi, so anyway, that's good.
Yes.
So today we are talking about how tourism has been affected by this COVID-19. Maybe the first question I should ask you: which type of travels do you do locally, and even maybe around Africa and even globally?
Wow. Okay. Maybe I'm the least affected in terms of tourism. I may not be a tourist, but I know actually most tourists have been affected. Most people who do business from one country to another one have adversely been affected, because for me, actually the farthest I've traveled is just Dar es Salaam. I'm not okay, my business does not allow me to travel in and out. I'm just localized in a particular region. But however, and I interact with quite a number of friends whose livelihood depends on traveling from one country to another one. And right now they have been immobilized. They can't travel from even leaving Kenya alone. So they are immobilized in one county, and that is to them it spells doom, because their business it's dependent on those many trips they make. Most of them work with multinational companies, and they move from one country to another one. There are also those who are who do business, for example, from Dubai. Those who sell those guys who sell the mitumbas, those guys who sell the boutique related products. Most of them are unable to access, or a few of them are, if they are getting those containers which are coming. A few of them are coming, but I think there is a little bit of delays and this hike in prices, and so they are not doing well. And again, the offtake for us people who are in sales and marketing industry, we talk about the offtake from the shelf. Some of those products now are not a priority because customers are focusing on things for survival in this COVID-19 era, and you realize the survival is measured on the basic product alone. The others have been suspended. Yeah, wanasema inaweza ngoja, it can wait.
So Mustafa, like Wekesa is talking about business trips. Maybe can you share with us in terms of maybe family trips? Maybe family trips, leisure trips, like the ones you arrange, and also for business trips. Which type Kenyans prefer? Mustafa, can you?
Kenyans prefer two types of trips. That is group trips and family trips. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah. So Mustafa.
Yes, I've said that Kenyans prefer two types of trips. One is group trips, and two is the family trips. Yes.
Okay, good. So Mustafa, when it comes maybe to travels, what are these advantage that maybe Wekesa, since he doesn't do maybe a lot of travels, in terms of what is this that should interest Wekesa to actually consider traveling maybe locally that maybe he has not explored?
Yeah, when it comes to traveling, we always say in Kiswahili ni kurudishia mwili shukrani. But with Kenyans, they always assume kurudishia mwili shukrani is about drinking and partying all night. But you see, even traveling refreshes your mind, and at least you have some peace of mind. You can relax, look at yourself, probably plan your goals, think about whatever you are planning, and probably review whatever you have done. Maybe if it was like this April, you could have probably reviewed what you did last year and probably what you have done between January and now. So, and always it's a relaxing time to relax with family, to connect with friends. And in most cases, when you go outside there, we always connect with other friends there, like the way we connected with you, Patrick. We connected way back 2016 on a trip. And since ever then, we have been friends, and we have explored a lot of opportunities. So when it comes to travel, it's beneficial to both the family, and in terms of business, it always benefits because we have those people who travel to Dubai to go to those how do we call them, the exhibitions, to go and see probably variety of products that are being displayed. Others go to China, others go to different countries. So traveling is not only about leisure, but traveling is all about profiting yourself.
Okay, Wekesa now is talking about kurudishia Mungu mwili shukrani. Hata mimi nilikuwa nimesema after hii COVID-19 ninaenda kurudishia Mungu shukrani kwa travel. So anyway, Wekesa, so in terms of
I get his perspective. I think I'm getting his perspective. I think when I entered, you were talking about tourism, and I focus so much on business, and I forget these are the travels that happens. Like actually, there was even a plan for us to be in that national park that Kovoi.
Oh, Kovoi. Is it Amboseli, Mustafa? Which Amboseli?
Savo National Park.
Savo.
Yes. Yeah, we had planned to have a trip.
It's Savo. We have Savo East and Savo West National Park.
Okay.
Yes. We had planned to have a trip, a few guys in the month of end of April, so that's around May, okay, or early May.
Hata
So,
mimi si mniongeze hapo.
yeah, but when we look at what is happening, maybe every county may be locked. I'm not even sure whether we will continue having travels from one county to another. But if the numbers subside, then it can be good. So you realize, one, it may be affected by those cessation, but two, it can also be affected by budgets. I think most of I was making a joke that the country helped Kenyans to remove the pillow banking, kutoa pesa kwa nyumba wakarudisha kwa bank. Now with the cessation, they have done the reverse. People now remove money from the bank and put them in the house, just because they don't want to go out. So some of these things are counterproductive in terms of planning. Okay, most plans will be suspended. If somebody, for now, leisure is not a priority because leisure and fear don't go hand in hand. And the restrictions, there are restrictions. Unless there are those Kenyans who are crazy enough who can decide to use an ambulance to go for a party. A few of them are doing that because for them it's they can't change their program. It's set and it has to happen. But for the right thinking people, you may look at it from a perspective where it has not only affected you, but affected even your family back at home. Maybe the production is not good. So in terms of support, you may have more people to support. And that's what affects the industry of my brother Mustafa. But it's also an opportunity for them to come out strongly and tell us, because we have been seeing most services come online, and what they are telling us, you have to create that perception that your clients will still be safe, that your clients will not be victimized by the government. So you have to show that there are opportunities where people can they can have leisure, but still within the government parameters.
Okay, good. That's true. We agree with that. But now, Mustafa, we are looking at post this COVID. Maybe first, before even you share what will happen next, can you share with us how your business has been grounded? What kind of measures you are doing, maybe to come back? I understand before the tourism industry was actually thriving, especially the local ones. We were traveling, even me, I was traveling locally. So maybe share with us how you have been affected and what you are doing to get out of that.
Yeah, first of all, I will say, when it comes to traveling, we have seasonal traveling. And when I talk of seasonal travel, we don't do travel throughout the year. We have those seasons that people travel a lot, and we have those low season that people don't travel a lot. So the most peak season, we have like the April, the one that we are in, because of the Easter holidays and because schools are closed, and probably up to the first week of May, and we have August. Probably it goes up to mid-September. Then now we start the real holidays from mid-November up to the whole of December and up to the first or second week of January. So when we talk of these seasons of traveling, you can be able to tell how we have been affected, because now the last trips that we did, it was from November up to December and probably the first week of January. So, when we go to the after mid-January, that is a low season. February is a low season. March is a low season. So the peak season is now April. And you see, April here we are, and we are in a crisis. So there's no traveling. Like we have now the containment period that you can't move from one county to the other. People from Nairobi can't move from Nairobi. Nobody can get into Nairobi. We have other counties like Mombasa, Kilifi, and Kwale. So it has really affected our business because when we talk of traveling, you are not confined in one place like you are in a quarantine season. You always travel from one place to the other. And that is now the fun of traveling because you want to see what is outside there. You want to explore how does Mombasa look like? How does Western look like? How does Tanzania look like? How I want to see the lions, you want to see the giraffes, you want to see the elephants. So it has really affected our business. And as for us, it's like close to a month when we closed because there was no traveling. All the bookings that we had received from our clients, we had to cancel. Some of our clients, we had to refund them. Some of our clients told us probably we postponed until further notice. Probably if things get better, they can be able now to we can be able to reschedule and probably do more trips after that. But as per now, our business is grounded. Actually, it's grounded. There's nothing we can do. We can't go to the office because what are you going to the office to do? Because you are always there to receive bookings, to organize this travel, to organize these trips. So when that one is completely grounded, then there's nothing you can do. You only go back home and relax and probably pray to God that things get better. You'll be able to fight this pandemic, and we hope things will work out.
Things will work out. Wekesa, like you are saying, we look for what is priority, but when it comes to other countries like the Western, maybe the Europeans, even people from Asia, traveling is part of what is important. So in Kenya, because we have different places, maybe we can travel in budget. Why is it not so important in our culture?
Like I alluded some time back, I think we've been brought up in a scarce mentality, where we always see we are poor and the resources are few, and the little we have, we need to utilize them before they are depleted in the right manner. We have also been brought up in a culture where such things is termed as self-indulgence. Utasikia watu wa mjini wanapenda raha. So the interpretation from our own backgrounds is that unapenda raha. And part of it is because of the struggles maybe most families went through before they had money. Most of Kenyan families which live below $1, to them traveling is a luxury.
Okay.
So they don't understand when you tell them that I've spent this money on a trip and such like.
Okay.
And so it becomes very controversial when do it. Therefore, it's part of our social transformation that we need to do, as such that we see it from a right perspective, that actually God created us both for purpose and pleasure.
Yeah.
Life needs to be lived positively, and life needs to be enjoyed. Most of us are not living, are surviving. And when you are on survival, you always think about basic things. But we need to break the ceiling and come to move from the survival mentality to actually living, knowing that we are not in a life rehearsal. Actually, what we are doing is we are living.
Yeah, we
In
are
short,
living.
yes. If COVID-19 decides that you go, some of things you plan to enjoy in the near future, you'll never enjoy. So you have to prioritize as much as you labor for your family and investment. There is always a percentage. They tell us that 10% ya kurudishia mwili pole. So that in that kurudishia mwili pole, now you can plan things. Exposure is good, and most of Kenyans actually is not that they also don't like traveling. Most of them, they are not exposed enough. So some of these good things that happen, they don't have access to them because of limited exposure.
Okay. I want to bring Bosca. Bosca, how are you? Hello, Bosca, can you hear me? All right, so he left. So I'll go to Mustafa. Mustafa, kuna msemo inasema kama hujatembea unafikiriaga tu mama yako ndiye anapika chakula tamu. But actually,
it's true.
There's a time, like when you travel to the coast, you realize that food in the coast is very sweet, very delicious than even other counties. But when you go to Kisumu, you find a very good mbuta. Yeah, you even question every fish you have ever eaten in any other place. So, Mustafa, now, why, like maybe going forward, how can we attract Kenyans to do more travels? As a startup like yourself?
I'll start I'll start saying that when it comes to traveling, it's true Kenyans are not exposed. And when you travel to different places, you explore a lot of things. Because let's say if you go to Mombasa, whatever you eat there is not what you eat in Kisumu. Whatever you travel outside the country there, whatever you will eat is not what you are used to in Nairobi or in Kenya. So, like for instance, I've eaten like lunch. I've eaten ugali. I can't go to town and at the same time I'm going to eat ugali. So it's as simple as such. So going forward, Kenyans are not exposed to traveling a lot because, as my friend said, Wekesa said previously that people are living beyond $1 every day. So you don't expect a person who is living beyond $1 to travel. But there are opportunities there because nowadays we use the social media platform. We are exposed to technology. That is Facebook, Twitter, and other social media platforms that we always advertise all these trips. But all in all, not all people know about traveling because at one point I posted a trip and somebody was asking what is it all about, and I had to explain to that person what a trip entails, what it benefits, and why are we charging, because he was wondering then why am I charging it. So that is a person who is not exposed to trips, and he was wondering what is that in the first place. So not so many people are exposed to these things, but all in all, Kenyans do travel. I can guarantee you mostly 40% to 50% of Kenyans do travel, and most of these people travel locally. It's not necessarily, people don't know probably they do travel because many assume that if you want to travel, it is a must you travel with a tour company like us. But when you move like from Nairobi and you go to Naivasha to visit your friend, and probably you move around there, probably like you go to the malls, you go to the park, that is traveling. It's not a must, but you see, you have fueled your own car, or probably you're boarded a matatu. That is traveling. So most people are not exposed to this traveling, and they don't understand whether what they are doing is traveling. But even when you move from the towns and you go to your rural homes to see probably your grandies, you know that is all about traveling. But in most cases, people assume that when you go to Mombasa, because Mombasa ni raha, when you go out of the country, that is what you call traveling. No. So it's leisure in its own way, because whatever feeds your soul and you feel you are fulfilled when you have traveled, probably when you go to see your parents at home, when you get to go to see your grandpas. So that is what we call traveling. So many people do travel. And moving forward, I hope this corona things end, because if it doesn't end, I don't know how we are going to survive, because in the tourism sector, we are much affected. And beside us being affected, we have many of our clients who always talk to us on daily basis. They want to know how we are faring on. And even them, they wish to travel, but they are confined, and because it's a pandemic that has affected the whole world. So there's nothing we can do about it, but we hope things are going to work for the better.
Sure. I want to ask Medik maybe now. Arwasa came back. Arwasa, you hear Mustafa is very concerned that is not so sure if this corona doesn't end, how life will be after that. So, Arwasa, when do you see corona ending? This is your personal opinion, of course. Of course, now we are talking about flattening the curve, and the curve of corona is coming flat. So, when do you project we can end this COVID-19?
Okay, according to the latest statistics, it is true that especially if I take an example of our country, the graph is now flattening. If you ask even from other countries, like yesterday, Uganda did several tests, over 400, and they didn't find anyone who was positive. That is for those who are quarantined among the big number which was quarantined. So I believe if things go the way they are happening, then maybe we expect maybe early May things could be starting to normalize.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
okay, that is according to the latest trends, if you can follow keenly.
Okay. Okay, sir, you hear Dixon is projecting like early May, we might get better in Kenya, or maybe these restrictions might end. What's your projection?
Yeah, Kenya, we are a very resilient nation, and we were terrorized by fear for the first 1, 2, 3 weeks. But with the time we have looked at the situation and we say, this thing we can manage it. And slowly people are coming out of their cocoons, and soon you will see the borders being opened. I think we were terrorized more with fear than the whole epidemic. And you see, even for those, and let me put it this way, even for our leaders who had gone silent, have realized that while they slept, there was a revolution that was taking place. And these are our political leaders.
Yeah.
So if they can, they have not shelved their own ambitions and pursuit. And I wonder why they want all Kenyans to sacrifice everything for the sake of COVID. Because for them, things that matter, they are still pursuing them. They are still pursuing them even when there is these restrictions. So that means if the trend goes on the way things are going, I see by May things beginning to normalize, as my brother has said.
Okay.
Most Kenyans have said that this thing can be managed. It may not exit quickly, but it can still be managed. So they don't see why their life should be completely brought to a halt, like what my brother is expressing, those fears. Because within tourism, we can still implement those restrictions we have. Within even learning, somebody was proposing that we begin by those who are finishing, maybe if they are Form 4s, if they are Standard 8s, and maybe university, those who are graduating this year. They can begin by those and give them those, they can maintain those social distance, and slowly we go back to normal. Supposing it is something we may not handle within a short period of time, does it mean we bring everything to a halt? No. So we need just to come up with a management program where a few things we should be left running, and if we see they are running very well, then we open up. For example, if the hotelier industry, I saw someone proposing that instead of just removing everybody from our hotel, why don't, if the hotel used to have 50 tables. Why don't we have 10 tables or 20? And you allow every one person per table, such that people, we are still eating. For example, me, I'm a salesperson, and sometimes I'm told to go in the field, and I don't have any place to eat. But ukienda kwa hotel unaambiwa it's take away. I don't know why I should carry food. Should I eat it on the road? So if I'm allowed to go in a hotel where there are 5 seats and I just sit in my corner there, another person sits there, we can still implement these restrictions without bringing life to a halt.
Yeah, true. You have a point to Wekesa. Now, Mustafa, maybe in terms of maybe the union of maybe tour guide and even the tour industry, are you guys pushing for any rebates or tax breaks post COVID-19 so that your business actually can survive? Maybe we can talk about reduction of national parks fees, and also maybe the fee that you pay as tour guides, or even maybe cars entering the parks. What are you guys pushing the government to do?
Yes.
Mustafa? Yes, proceed. All right. Mustafa, can you hear me? Mustafa? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, I'm saying what kind of things are you pushing to the
as per now, because we are in the middle of a crisis, we cannot be able to now push for those kind of reduction in terms of fees of traveling and what have you. But as for now, the only thing that we can be able to request is, in fact, it's not even telling the government. Yes.
Yeah, just continue. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Mustafa. Proceed.
Yes, as I was saying, like as per now, we cannot be able to push to tell the government probably to reduce the park fees and what of you, and probably anything related to tourism. This is the time to fight this pandemic, and to make sure this pandemic ends. It's between me and you, because if we follow the government directives that we stay at home, we wear a mask, we sanitize, we wash our hands, we don't move around. If you don't have any business to transact, I know we can end this thing very soon, especially in a month's time. If at all there was a lockdown in the whole country, within a month, we could have been able to trace all those people who are infected, and we can be able to contain the situation. But without doing that, it's a situation that we cannot be able to tell it will end when. And the problem with this coronavirus, it's something that it's unable to be detected from the first stages, because if you have corona like right now, I cannot be able to tell if you have it until probably after a few days, maybe 5 or 10 or maybe 14 days is when you can be able to tell Patrick has corona or Mustafa has corona. So it's a bit challenging to us, and not only to us, to everyone, because every business is at standstill. Only probably those people who are in the innovation industry, those making the ventilators, those producing masks, those producing all these things, assorted items that help to fight this corona. They are the only people who are in business. And even with these, all government institutions have been shut down. It's only the police, the national security, those people who are dealing with the coronavirus who are still in office, and even the medical fraternity. So first of all, is to find out ways on how to eradicate this pandemic, because it is really felt to the ground, even to the grassroots, and it has affected everybody. Because as you know, in Kenya, most people travel to the urban centers to look for opportunities, to look for green pastures. And when we are in these urban centers is where we get the green pastures, and we are able to help those people in the grassroots, in our rural areas, our grandpas, our parents, So it has really affected the whole economy of Kenya. And if at all it goes on, the economy is going to tumble. And once the economy tumbles, it doesn't tumble only in the tourism sector, but it tumbles everywhere. Even the government is gonna feel it. So it's high time that we use all the opportunities that we have to sensitize all the members or the citizens of this country on the seriousness of this pandemic. Because if you don't follow all the guidelines that have been put into place, if you don't wear a mask, if you don't sanitize, if you don't wash hands, if you don't avoid unnecessary movement, we're gonna end up like Italy. So for now, that is the thing that we are going to be probably, that is what we are going to sensitize the public about it as a tour operator. And for now, the issue of probably reduction in fees, because if at all, let's say we talk to the government to tell them reduce the fees for these national parks, who are the people who are going to these parks? If at all the corona is still here with us. So until the corona ends is when now probably we can be able now to sit down and probably see how we can be able to boost the local tourism sector. And probably now the government, I know it's a good government that does everything to benefit all Kenyans. So I know they're going to do something, because the tourism sector is really affected. And after this pandemic, I know they are going to do a lot so that people can be able to travel as they used to.
Okay, good. Arwasa, I can hear there is chicken around you.
I'm home.
You are at home, eh? You are enjoying which is good. Now, anyway, there's been a conversation about herd immunity, whereby we allow those people who can fight this coronavirus maybe to go out there, and maybe when they get this corona, they can actually be able to fight it, and then we can build a strong immunity against it. What do you think?
Okay, it is true the way Mustafa stated it, like he has really emphasized that it is our responsibility as the citizens, not even the responsibility of the government, to make sure that the pandemic is coming down, but it is actually our responsibility. So I believe if everyone follows the guidelines that have been put across, we can easily combat the pandemic. Unfortunately, one thing I'm realizing is like there is no standardized way of making the masks, because I saw somewhere someone sewing with what do we call them? Sewing with the threads which are usually used for to sew to make sweaters.
The one that
so yeah. Then so I think people have really gotten it wrong. They're just thinking like it is just covering your face only that can prevent, but what kind of thing are you using to cover your face? So I think this thing the government needs to correct it immediately. Otherwise, it will be a source of transmission of the virus. So I can just say that let's be responsible, and it is us who will make sure that this thing is going to end very soon, and so that it doesn't affect our economy.
Okay. Good. So Mustafa, you can hear some people are using crotchets to make some masks. What is happening in your situation or your region?
Probably, the good thing is Kenyans are really obeying the orders that the government has put into place, because as far as we are concerned, you can be able to see they are trying their level best probably to use the crotchets to make these masks. It's only the way they are doing it differently, but it is a right move in the right direction, because everybody wants to make a mask, and that person wants to protect him or herself. But I think the government has done much, because on televisions you are being told this is the kind of mask that you are supposed to use. But you see, at the same time, the masks that are being bought in the market, they are very expensive. They are, in fact, in some places they are not available. I heard somebody on TV. I don't know, he was in Kiserian or somewhere. is saying the government is talking about masks, but they are nowhere around this area, and I can't be able to travel from this area to go to another area where I can be able to find them. So it's a bit challenging, but this is the situation that we are in. We are supposed to, do our level best to use whatever we have at hand. And as the government say, if at all you are in your house, like let's say I'm in the house, there's no need of wearing a mask because there's nobody who is near me. But unless I'm going to some places outside there, I'm going to the market where I have exposure to different people, and you can't tell who has. So that is where now you need to wear a mask. And wearing a mask is about protecting yourself. It's not about protecting the government, it's protecting yourself. Because if you get this corona, it's you who will die. It's not the government who will die. It's not Wekesa who will die. It's not Patrick. It's me, Mustafa, who will die. So I have to abide with whatever the government has put into place. And I do my level best. But you see, the other challenge is like those in the slum areas, they cannot be able to afford these things. So whatever they come up with, whether it's those cloth masks or something, so long as it's something, and probably they are not moving around. So, but talking about this corona thing, I believe within 1 month, if at all we had a lockdown, we could be able to contain this situation. But the challenge here is now, probably 70% of Kenyans live, hand to mouth. And these are now the worries of our government, because if they impose the lockdown, how will these people survive? They are dependent on themselves. They always go to daily jobs. They get those daily wages. They don't work anywhere where they get those salaries at the end of the month. They don't work in government facilities. So this is the challenge for all of us, not only the government. If at all the government wants to do a lockdown, but they think of the common mwananchi, how will this common mwananchi survive? And even you had the other day, there was donation in Kibra, and you saw a lot of people moving around, and there was a stampede because of everybody wants that food. So it's a really disturbing situation in our country, and we hope things will work out.
Good. Wekesa, can you hear me, Wekesa?
Yes.
Hello, Wekesa? Yes. This is now
Yes.
maybe the part I want to
Hello.
hear you guys. My question now is about maybe politics, especially you saw what is happening in Jubilee, of course. How does this affect even the recovery of COVID-19 in terms of the economy post after we have recovered? Like now we are projecting maybe a month or two, we might go back to our normal lifestyle. How does these fights that we are seeing now is going to affect our economy recovery? Wekesa?
You are breaking, fighting.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Fighting? Hello.
Yes, I was saying, Wekesa,
Fighting.
in what you are saying maybe in Jubilee, how that affects our recovery, the economy, and maybe our focus in healthcare after this COVID-19. If there will be those maybe wrangles in government and what so, will we be able to manage this crisis effectively going forward?
Okay, there are two ways of looking at it. First, it's like you are dividing the energy.
Yeah.
Now the focus had been given to one ministry called Ministry of Health, and everybody else had all the voices had been silenced so that we hear more of what is happening in terms of containment and management. So it had somehow harmonized and unified us such that we are only focusing on one channel in terms of government communication of what is happening.
Yeah.
And they seem in the first 2 weeks we seem to have been convinced that the government is working together in realizing that the nation is COVID free. But however, with the time we are realizing that they are in divisions. You know, when divisions are there, it means we also even want to see who gets the credit for what.
Yeah.
And that's where you start seeing uh, if you are doing and you are doing it right, but you don't belong to my political affiliation, it's not right. So that's why even for my friend, as he has said, there was donation in Kipra, and there were a few casualties. Now, because of our political stand, there are those who will focus on the donation, and there are those who will focus on the the challenges that happened while the donation happened. So it becomes now a challenge in terms of us pulling our resources together and helping the nation to recover from the challenges we are facing. We will begin looking at Kenyans who are suffering from. You remember that time when we had the IDPs?
Yeah, yeah.
IDPs in the country.
Yes,
I think
yes.
2008 there. The issue of helping the IDPs was reduced to funds. And this
Okay.
region was helped, and I don't want us to reduce this war against COVID-19 and the interventions to be politicized, such that it's only areas which look like they are pro Baba and Uhuru who are getting benefit, and the areas which look like they are opposing the government get little attention. So when we
Okay.
bring in those political struggles, we divert the attention, and then we we neutralize our energy, that which we and the focus which had given exactly on the disease.
Okay,
But
okay.
another dimension of looking at it is that most of these politicians are having maybe a prognosis that this disease may not go away in the next few months.
Okay.
So they have looked at it and say life cannot be suspended forever, because they know there are things which are cast in the constitution that will never change, that despite the challenges, they will happen within the given framework of time.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so if you look at America, they are continuing with their primaries. Although Sanders gave room for Joe Biden to continue
Biden,
with
yeah.
the Nini. But I know America will continue with their elections, and they will have a new president this year, despite the challenges that are there. So they are looking at how to manage the whole process within the challenges that they are having.
Okay.
Kenya, it's a little bit challenging because we are more tribal. We are divided on petty issues. So when we release politicians right now, in fact, they can cloud the whole discussion. You may find that Kenyans forget that there is a elephant in the room, and they begin talking about Tanga Tanga and BBI. We
Okay.
pray and we ask them to hold their horses. At least we have a plan on how to contain the virus first.
Sure, sure. So, Wekesa, someone is saying, why are you speaking in a low voice? I believe you are soft spoken. Is it? You can confirm that.
Is it? I don't know. In fact, I'm not hearing you even.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know.
Yeah,
Hello?
someone is saying from their
I
end.
don't know if it's the network problem.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Maybe. So I don't. I'm
What
not
I
sure.
did,
Mhm.
I have changed my gadget because we don't have steamer here. So the first one I was using, it got the battery got drained. So I have changed
Okay.
my gadget. I don't know if this one is okay.
It's okay. We can consider. We can continue with it. So Wekesa is saying it's because of the network. So next time he will be having his voice back. So Mustafa, what do you say about the of the same?
When we talk of politics in Kenya, politics can never end in Kenya because it's something that is practiced around globally. But before even we talk of politics, we have the better side of things in this corona pandemic, because just yesterday we had the 16 students who, they had made a ventilator, a prototype of a ventilator that we have people who are grabbing these opportunities on the right side. Then we have now the Kikotech in which county is this? The Charitingilu County, making the masks. So, and we have a lot of opportunities that are going on. But it's high time that the Kenyan government has realized that we have potential within ourselves. We don't need to rely on the west or the east or which side of the continent. We can be able to self-govern ourselves. We can be able to produce things here by ourselves. And once we do that, we can be able to boost our economy and do a lot of things. But back to politics, in Kenya, politics is the main thing. It's like you are born in politics, you will die in politics. So this politics can never end. It's only that now our local televisions are much focused on the pandemic, much on the corona things, and probably those things affecting the common mwananchi. But if there was no corona by now, I think politics will be going on as normal. So these politics are still going on. They are still just going underground, as you have seen, because like the other day you had DP saying that he's being chased from the Jubilee Party. We have other people who are talking about it. So politics is a Kenyan thing, and I don't think it can end soon. But with politics aside, what you are really insisting, if you have seen the social media platforms, what people are asking, where are these politicians in this time of need? Because we are used to politicians to see them when it's during the campaign period. They are there probably bringing us T-shirts, those capes, those mavulis, all these kind of assorted items. They dish out money, these T-shirts, these caps, this money reach to the grassroots, to that remote village. But you see, as per now, those people in the villages, they don't have masks. They don't have access to healthcare. They don't have, access to, the basic needs. So we have, when we talk of basic needs, we talk of food, we talk of health. They cannot access dispensaries, they cannot access these healthcare centers, because as per now, as you know, most of our health centers are focused on corona activities, because once you go there, they want to know the first thing: do you have corona? So a person who is suffering from malaria, a person who is suffering from TB, a person who is suffering from these other ailments, they don't know where to go to. And this is something that is concerning a lot of Kenyans, because now there is a curfew from 7 to 5. But this night, you don't know if at all you got sick. Where will you go to? To which dispensary is it near? You don't know even the boundaries of your cessation. There are these counties that have been locked down. Not so many people are aware where the barriers are, so they don't know where to go. So many people are suffering in silence. But these politicians are supposed to do something. This is the right time they wake up and probably come up with some proposals on how now we can be able to have good things for the Mwananchi. It's not all about now politics, bashing so and so, me talking of Patrick, you Patrick talking of Mustafa. It doesn't help us. But what we need to hear now, how can we now better our health facilities? As you have seen this corona thing, in fact, let me tell you, the corona thing has really challenged the government, because most of our health facilities didn't have these ventilators. And you can see for the last 1 week or 2 weeks, we have a lot of ventilators moving around from one county to the other, because most of these county governments are equipping the hospitals. We saw the other day there was advertisement that they need to employ 5,000 medics and nurses and clinical officers. So there is a lot that is going on that is to our advantage. But we hope at the end of this corona thing, the same energy that has been used to emphasize and probably equip our hospital, equip our health fraternity, is the way forward that we are going to go. We are not going to listen to this all politics that doesn't help us.
Exactly. Good. So, Dixon, you can hear how Mustafa is arguing his case. Now, in terms of maybe going forward, how do and now you can see students who actually made the ventilators, like Mustafa is alluding, and also Kitui is making masks, and also we saw Kemri doing a good job in terms of coming with the test kits, and now even there is Took maybe coming with other inventions. Did we even is this COVID-19 a good thing for us actually to focus in terms of invention which can happen in this country?
Okay, as Mustafa has just said, it is true that the coronavirus thing has really challenged Kenyans, and Kenyans are becoming innovative. Like now, you had JKUAT students came up with a ventilator, which is a very good thing. At Ingilu's county, people are now producing the masks. So it is a good thing. But when I become particular with the health sector, it is a good thing. Yes, we are getting machines now, but unfortunately, we have a lot of gaps. Maybe as a medic, I know this, and maybe the other people would not be able to know about some of these things. We have an acute staff shortage, and even when you heard the other day, the government ordered that the counties employ medics. There was an uproar from the governors. They are not ready to employ health workers. Like now, there are counties, for example, a county like Nakuru and several other counties, they employ on contracts. Like now, the jobs that are coming up, they've said that they're going to employ the health workers in a 3 months contract.
Oh,
now, even
excuse me, Dixon, 3 months or 3 years?
3 months. 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they just want to deal with the corona thing, and after that, the contracts are over. So health workers in this country are the most discouraged lot. The other day, you had the SRC writing a letter to a governor like Mtua, who decided to give some incentives for his health workers because of this crisis. But the government, a section of the government, that is the SRC, is not happy about that. And again, these real got into the nerves of health workers. And if you look at keenly at the social media, the health workers are really discouraged. They are not happy about the whole thing. So the truth is, coronavirus has really opened up the eyes of the government. Unfortunately, what I'm seeing, this is a personal opinion, that what I'm seeing ahead, even if we've been woken up from slumber, especially in improving the health sector, my personal opinion is that this is just a temporary thing. Once we are done with corona, the government and the county governments will go into their normal life. Nothing is going to change. That is so evident when you hear the government is advertising jobs, then again you hear the county government is not ready to employ the health workers. So I think as much as the changes have been brought by the coronavirus, things are not going to be better after this crisis.
Okay. Wekesa, you are hearing that, huh? That maybe it's a seasonal thing. Maybe after this, still we go back to our normal lifestyle, and then we forget about our healthcare, about strengthening our healthcare industry. Now, what is this something that we should actually be happy about, or completely as Kenyans and medics have maybe to maybe agitate about? Wekesa.
The issue is we are running a survival scheme. Hello.
Yes, can you hear you?
We are running a survival scheme. Even when you look at the interventions that are being put in place, are short-lived and are meant just to deal with the disease. Once it's over, like we reset factories back to the normal. We do things the way we used to do. But our hope was that this thing could have helped us move to the next level. The other day we were discussing about research and innovation. And you see, KU is providing that leadership in terms of innovation. They have been able to innovate the first ventilator, and they said that if they are assisted in terms of resources, they can do like 50 ventilators within a short period of time. That means we need to see that Kenyans have the ability, they have what it takes to bring new innovations on the table if we are willing to fund them, because crisis has taught us that we can think beyond our we can think beyond our normal scale and come up with new ways of dealing with challenges. This is called fluid intelligence. You know, fluid intelligence comes from uh, new challenges, and then you learn new ways of dealing with them. But most of us want to we fall back to crystallized intelligence, where you do things the same way you have learned, and then the old methods that you know what has worked and what has not worked. Kenyans need to go beyond what has always been working for us, because there is a greater space in the field we have not explored. So in terms of innovation, we have shown that we have the capability. Even Camry itself has changed the kits they used to do for HIV, and right now they can be able to use them for COVID-19. So if we are able to pump in more cash and ensure that we achieve more, we will see that there will be a revolution in terms of our research industry. And if we are also willing to stretch further and employ uh, healthcares to take care of this situation, after it is gone, we will look back and say that we have more uh, health workers, and instead of uh, just giving them a 3 months contract, we need them on board so that our healthcare is revolutionized and it doesn't go back to the normal way it was. We have seen. I saw the other day. I saw the governor of Makueni, Givuta Kibwana, actually he has dedicated a whole building. It's called COVID-19 block, and he has furnished. He has put the beds for managing the patients. And I believe after even this thing is gone, the state of his medical responsiveness will be a little bit on a higher scale. We need to do things which are long term, not just for survival. Because when you look at what George Bush used to advocate, and you look at what Obama advocated when we were faced with influenza. It seems that the world managed influenza and then went back to normal. But if we gained an advantage, if we did more in that time when we had influenza, chances are that we would have been more prepared when COVID-19 came. But we looked unprepared. And so if we manage this thing and we go back to the factory settings, it means that every time a disease of such a magnitude comes, we start from square zero. That is not good.
Sure. True. So, guys, I want to give you your last takes on this, and then we'll end this session. Maybe Mustafa, your last take.
What I will emphasize on Kenyans who are watching is to tell them this corona thing is here with us and it's gonna end soon. And to make it end, just follow all the directions that we are told by the government. Let's keep distance. Let's wear a mask in public places. Don't move around, stay at home. Wash our hands. And it is not only washing hands with soap, with the running water, sanitize, and we're gonna win this fight. So to all Kenyans, I wish you the best, follow the guidelines, and this corona is gonna end soon.
Great. Dixon?
Okay, I'll just add on what Mustafa said. It is true that we carry the responsibility in our hands to make sure that the corona thing ends very fast so that our life can return to normal.
Okay, great. Wekesa?
For me, I will say that Sarah Serem has failed us twice. First, as when she was in the salaries and remuneration, she never helped us so much in terms of harmonizing the salaries. And it looks that the ruling class always had their way. And this time she is also failing us as the High Commissioner of Kenya in China. She needs to pull up her socks. That employment was not just for her to feed her family. She needs to stand up for Kenyans. Yeah.
Great. So Sarah Serem, I hope she listens because we have been making noise in terms of this issue. I hope she will listen to that.
Yes, we hope so.
Yeah, great. Okay, see you next session tomorrow, Wekesa. All right.
See you.
See you.